Hi, everybody. Rich Vanden Bogard, Jacobson and Schmidt Advisors. I thought I'd kick this off. I haven't been in quite as many meetings recently. Hope to get back to the cycle soon. So I thought I would let Adam introduce an idea that we're hearing a little bit more about in some of the meetings recently. Go ahead, Adam.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, so one of the common questions that we're hearing in meetings these days is, what's the market's next move? The general market has gone up about 19% this year, despite a global pandemic going on. And so people are wondering what the next move might be. And one of the first things that we look at is we look to history and to try and understand how the market has moved in the past. And so if you do that, really about every year, the market moves at least 10% in one direction. And so if you look at history, 10% moves happen about every year. A 20% move down typically happens about every 2 to 3 years. But what's more interesting is that a 20% move up happens more often, about every 1 to 2 years. So it's just kind of a reminder for us that the market moves both directions. Sometimes it's explainable, sometimes it's not, but as an investor, you have to be prepared for those moves both ways.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think there's been, 7 down 20% moves this century, so that actually does line up with the kind of every 3-year cadence, though they don't line up that way on the calendar if you actually look at them. So it's interesting because, right, there's sort of a price you have to pay as an investor. You have to expect that, hope to be rewarded along the way. And I know we had a little fun in this letter. We asked, well, what if your timing was really poor and you bought high and sold low the last 13 or so years? Adam, you want to share some of that finding?
Yeah, so the big picture takeaway here is time is on your side. If you're a long-term investor, really over 20 years, let's call it, 90% of the time you end up with more than double what your initial investment was. And if we take this question of, well, what if you were the worst time investor and invested right before the financial crisis in 2007, and you sold right at the bottom in 2020, right after COVID became a global pandemic, that was the worst timing you could have possibly had. But the reality is that investor still almost doubled their money during that 13-year period. And so it's a reminder that timing isn't as important if you have the long term in mind and thinking about your financial life.
Right. So that investor made what felt like 2 bad decisions and still wound up with a pretty okay outcome. And I think that's an interesting way to frame it. If you have a plan and you're sticking to that plan and letting time work, things can still work out relatively well.
Yep, that's right, Rich. So I think for all of us, just expect the market can move in both directions. Know that we work on your financial plan to help you prepare for whatever that may hold for the future. And, as always, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Our office is under construction. We'll share, a couple seconds of video just to show that. But despite that, we are still here for you. Happy to meet, via video or a phone call until the construction is done. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.